We'll get moving. My name is Emily Kravitz. I'm the Employer Engagement Specialist here at Parker Dewey. My role is to work with all of the employers that are on the call today for any questions, concerns, helping you get started and get through the process getting micro-internships posted for our students. It's super easy, and we'll talk all about how it works. And then, of course, if you have any questions, I'll make sure to save some time at the end to, chat with you one-on-one. So let me start off by sharing my presentation and we'll get going. Okay, so first and foremost, a bit about Parker Dewey, who we are, what we do. We've been around now for about 10 years. Since our founding, we're 100% focused on creating real experiential recruiting opportunities for you as an employer to engage prospective candidates, and we use a skills-first framework to see that in action. It's been time tested and proven by us, and our platform captures a ton of data as well, data that's very useful for helping you improve your early career recruiting outcomes because there's so many challenges right now a lot of organizations are facing, whether it is layoffs or budget cuts or not going on campus as much or limiting the number of campuses that you're visiting, or maybe you're an employer that just hasn't even started thinking about how to connect with college students. And so Parker Dewey can really be a resource for you. So first, I want to start off by defining this thing that we do called micro-internships. And really, you don't want to think about a micro-internship as a mini internship, or it's certainly not meant to be a replacement for what you're already doing for your summer internship or a co-op or your year-round programming. These are meant to be more project-based that are bite-sized. So they're short-term, they're always paid, they're professional projects that can be completed on demand for students. And so they're meant to be very low lift for you and very easy for a student to get started. They're typically about 10 to 40 hours of work, and so they wrap up in that amount of time. Each project ends with a student deliverable. So once a student turns the deliverable into you, they are now done with that micro internship project. If you're looking more for longer term or ongoing tasks or like a temp, this isn't probably the right match. But micro internships are a great way to evaluate your candidates for longer term opportunities. We're just reaching out to an employer today who had some very last minute internship needs, two internships that they were looking to fill at this sort of late stage in the year. A micro internship's a great way to get a student in front of your hiring team quickly, and you can see examples of their real work. Parker Dewey also is the employer of record the entire time. So you're not putting a student on your payroll for a 20-hour project, for example. We're not asking you to turn over the keys to the castle. We're not asking you to share passwords or anything like that. We will work with you to develop projects that can be done outside of your internal tools. And so, for example, a student could work with you on some social media deliverables, but they're not going to be in your social media accounts making posts on your behalf. The cost to work with a micro intern is really low. It's a fixed fee. We don't charge any fee at all to post a project on our platform. We don't post a fee to use our platform, anything like that. The only time that we will charge you is at the end of a project that a student completes. So if you post a project on the platform and you don't like the applicants that you receive, we can simply close the project off and there's no charge for you. But for the most part, each project costs anywhere between $300 to $600 a project. That's based on us looking at projects to be paid, usually between $20 to $25 an hour, the equivalent of that. Parker Dewey retains 10% of the total project cost for our administrative burden, our HR focus that we're handling for you, because again, the student is on our books the entire time, and then the student receives 90% of the total project cost fee. All the work, though, is owned by you. So when a student turns in that project deliverable to you, you're able to use that, whether you want to use it to evaluate them for opportunities or to actually use it for what you're doing at work. So you have lots of options there. Okay, so why is it set up this way and what are the benefits? So first of all, there's really no confusion at all. We make it very clear on the platform what the cost will be up front, what the student's going to be doing. The student applies to the project, you select them, and then they get started working independently. Most micro internship projects are remote, although they don't have to be, but we find it's easier for a student to continue to do the work independently, and then they turn that deliverable into you at the end of that time period. This also allows a student who is still in school or taking summer classes or who has a part-time job to continue to do that while they're doing the work for you on their own time. And then you set how long each project will last, say 3 weeks, for example, for a 20-hour project, and then the student will have until then to turn that work into you. We also have no deadline, so you can post a project today when we get off the call. You can post a project over the summer, over a school break. It does not need to be tied to a semester or a class or anything like that. Typically, once you get a project posted on the platform, our operations team will review it, and it takes about 48 hours until it goes live to students. So I want to talk about how employers are currently working with Parker Dewey. So we've got really the primary goal. We've got a couple different use cases here, but primary goal for a lot of our employers is to use this as a recruiting tool. This is designed to really help you with one of two things. First, confirming fit and hiring with confidence. And really, here's where you may want to think about using a micro internship project as an audition. You see lots of resumes that often look the same. I used to work in higher ed career services before coming to Parker Dewey, and I used to work with employers all the time on helping them differentiate between students that all had the same GPA, same major, same kind of background. And so micro internship gives you a chance to actually have the student prove their skills to you. You're seeing in a 20-hour, 10-hour project, something that's low stakes for you, what the student's made of. And so if you're looking for somebody who has Excel skills and you've hired students over the years that have it on their resume, but once you see them in action, maybe they're a little weak on the Excel skills, we can throw out an Excel project so that you can see upfront what it looks like for them to complete that type of work. You're also able to see, a little bit about their soft skill abilities. So how proactive are they in applying for these projects? Are they putting effort into their application process? Are they answering some easy short answer questions that we build into the project, in a way that's error-free, that has good communication, is showing genuine interest in the opportunity. Secondly, employers use micro internships a lot for building a talent pipeline and brand awareness. And so this is a great resource if you're thinking about trying to build more relationships on campus. Oh, apologies for that. Or you're not able to make it to campus right now, or you're waiting until the fall and you're trying to get students excited about your organization right now. It's also a great way to keep students warm. So if you're like, I didn't make it to the spring recruiting events, I'm going to come in the fall, but I'd still like students to know that I exist. Micro internships are also a great way to build that pipeline. You can do something like a brand ambassador, have the student do some work on campus this summer, talking about what your organization does and getting them excited about your opportunities for the fall. So it's a great way to keep the energy happening, even if you physically can't be on campus. Companies also use micro internships in this capacity to help build relationships with younger students. We're hearing so many companies are starting to look at freshmen and sophomores for opportunities, whether they're short-term leadership programs, or just a way to kind of start building the name recognition among those younger students. But we also know that younger students aren't always showing up to career fairs. They're not always coming to recruiting events. A, they may not be aware of the importance of this. B, they haven't really confirmed their major or career plans yet. And so you're potentially missing out on a great pipeline of students that would be interested, but they're just not aware that you exist yet. And so companies can also use micro internships as a way to engage younger talent, giving them these projects that they can start to learn more about your organization. And then finally, of course, we see lots of companies of all shapes and sizes use micro internships as a way to get stuff done. So we all have busy to-do lists. I've got my own that I keep a running list of just to the right of me over here. And gosh, it'd be nice to have a micro intern kind of help me with some projects. And so maybe you're an organization that has an event coming up and need help with creating an event program. Maybe you just need a list work through, some prospect gathering, some research, updating your website, a one-time project like that. Get stuff done would be a great use of hiring a micro intern. The student is, of course, still building their resume by doing these micro internships, and you're able to get things crossed off your list. So when you're getting help on a project, you're also getting insight into our candidate intelligence platform. Our employers are looking beyond the individual assignment to leverage it as really a key part of your entire recruiting strategy. Again, it helps build those relationships with students on campus. You're getting insight in real time on their skills. You're deepening the relationship between you and the schools that you're trying to target. Better understanding cost per hire, which I know your leaders are probably starting to ask you more about, and also who's applying. And this will help you get more out of what you're already doing on campus. And in this environment, it's key. So focusing in on those first two use cases, and I recognize that there might be some employers on the call that don't do a lot of campus recruiting and are really more of the get stuff done type, and we'll talk about that later. But if you're kind of in that, using this for your recruiting support on campus, confirming fit and building your pipeline, you can see that this works really well. First, you see it's just generally a very cost-efficient way to recruit early career talent. When you're making hiring decisions based on real insight and not just hypotheticals or a quick resume glance at a career fair or a crowded event or even a 15-minute phone screen, you're able to make better hiring decisions. There's less opportunity to make bad hires when you hire micro interns with Parker Dewey. It's also really easy for you to connect with talent. You can post whatever you need year round. There's no deadlines or blackout periods. And we just make it very, very easy for you with very low lift. We do ask at the end of a project, when the student turns a deliverable into you, that you take just a few minutes to review the student's work, and that's all built into our Parker Dewey platform. Other than that, the student is able to work independently. If you would like to get to know the student more or would like to spend time with them, you're welcome to. We do have plenty of employers that will maybe do a check-in call with the student weekly just to make sure they're still on track, but that's not mandatory or a requirement. And again, we're not asking you to revamp your whole process. We're not asking you to cut your internship programs or anything like that. Rather, we're looking for you to think about micro interns as something that would make each step in your process much more meaningful. It's meant to make sense within your existing efforts. So again, a few examples. You're planning to go to the fall career fair, you're investing in the travel, the time away from your desk, and you speak to so many great students. But then they never follow up after. So it wasn't necessarily because they weren't interested, but rather they just may not fully understand your process. And wouldn't it be ideal if the student could leave your table with a next step, like, hey, we are also hosting a micro intern. And for students that are interested in coming to work for us, we encourage you to apply to this project. And again, they're getting a 10-hour kind of low stakes project, but you're getting a chance to see what they're made of. And so, really great way to do that. If you're trying to make a case to go to a new target school, post a project for students. They may not be familiar with your brand at this new school, but it's a great way to start to build that pipeline before you even set foot on campus or you take the time away for traveling. So I want to make sure that you also have a really good understanding of how exactly this helps with that confirming fit goal. So we will work with you to design the project. You do not need to come up with the concept yourself. The easiest way to do that is to send us an open JD for even an intern or an entry-level role, and we have an entire US-based operations team that will work to help convert your jobs into projects. And so here's just a very basic level example of an entry-level data marketer. We kind of analyzed the job description and came up with a competitive campaign analysis. You'll see that with this project, the student is not getting access to any of your internal tools, your databases, your client list. It's all being able to do in a research format outside of everything that's happening internally. And then again, you're getting insight into a number of skills, which are really important as you're thinking about making a good hire. So I want to share some real life examples as well. And so what this looks like to put it into practice. And so Smith and Nephew is one of our clients. They've given us permission to share. Large company, have a great rotational program, but didn't necessarily have the brand recognition among their students. They had a leadership program that a lot of students covet, but they were struggling to find good quality students for this. With our help, they designed a project that helped assess their skills for the program, and it really did not require a lot of extra effort on the part of Smith and Nephew. The project was very simple. They said, hey, students, here is our full product lineup. Pick one and create a pitch deck. Again, they didn't have to create anything for this. They didn't have to find, a supervisor willing to open up their week to have the student come on site. The student was able to do all this work independently and then turn the deliverable in. Again, the student had a little friction in the process, and we designed it that way specifically. We want them to take the time to proactively apply. We want the students to answer some short answer questions so that you see their interest in the opportunity. And also, what does their deliverable look like? Is it error free? Is it thoughtful? Is it comprehensive? And so out of this, they were able to have 12 micro interns that auditioned. And because they were dialed in, they had 6 full-time offers as a result, and 5 accepted. And so this was all accomplished for less than 40% of the typical hiring costs. And over a year later, they have 100% retention with these 5 hires. Couple other examples for employers that maybe don't have a specific hiring need right now, but want to make sure that students are aware of them and want to keep them in mind for when positions open. Here's a couple of examples of employers that have used micro-internships to build that talent pipeline with very straightforward projects. So we see 2 primary flavors here that companies use. As I mentioned before, that campus ambassador is a really great option. Again, you can have the student talk about your organization on campus, share your opportunities with their classmates, talk in their student orgs, get students really excited that Train Technologies, for example, is going to be coming to campus soon. Again, from my time in career services, I know that word of mouth is huge among students. And so when one student has a great experience with a company, with a brand, with an opportunity, they're going to tell 3 of their friends. And so again, it helps keep your pipeline humming even if you can't be there. We also see companies post projects that are very straightforward and not specifically tied to one major. It can be done with students in their first or second year. So starting to build that pipeline of younger talent, similar to what I mentioned earlier. And so Northrop Grumman, here's an example of very large organization, but they were having sometimes trouble attracting students for some of their roles because a lot of students thought, hey, this is just for engineering students, and I'm a, finance major or whatever the case may be. And so here they posted kind of a low stakes role in HR, pretty straightforward project. One of our Parker Dewey students had logged into the platform and really had not yet finalized her major, but she saw this and was like, gosh, this looks interesting. I never thought about HR. I don't know who Northrop Grumman is, but I'm still going to try for this project because I'd like to check out HR. And you see, she's got a little quote here in the corner. I wasn't familiar with Northrop Grumman at all before finding this micro internship. I had no idea how big of a company that was. And so, again, by taking a chance on this micro internship, she now became much more aware of Northrop Grumman as an employer of choice. And so, one of the outcomes that students report, more than half of our students in our post survey say that, becoming more aware of a company that they weren't familiar with before was one of the major outcomes for them. So Northrop Grumman is able to make headway into HR majors and some other focus areas, more than just the students who are thinking of them just for engineering. So, and here you get a look at the real impact and the longer term outcomes. It's also great for reaching different demographics. 80% of the students that complete micro internships come from underrepresented backgrounds. This is an especially impressive statement when you compare to students who complete traditional paid internships. And when we look at that data, barely a quarter of paid internships are being completed by these historically underrepresented students. Given that so many Parker Dewey projects are remote, it allows students who maybe don't attend school in a major metropolitan area or in your personal backyard complete these projects, and they get a chance to connect with employers all across the country. You are able to spotlight projects specifically for one school if you want, or a specific geographic region, or you can leave the projects open to students across the country, so that you're able to connect with talent everywhere. You have that flexibility when you make the project. You can also see that the average cost per hire for campus recruiting shows real impact, 40 to 80% savings. And look at the retention rate for students who complete micro internships. It's almost 100%. So when you give students a chance to find their fit, it really does make a difference. I also want to share, because again, I recognize that some of you on the call may be a small business owner, nonprofit, local government, startup. Parker Dewey is for everyone. We work with both one-person startups up to Fortune 500 corporations and everything in between. So we're happy to work with you individually to customize something that will work best for your needs. So again, if you're one of those get stuff done people, which we talked about earlier, again, it's very easy to post projects at any point in time. We have a template library that I'm happy to show in just a minute, which can get you help started thinking about different project ideas. And again, some social media, we see a ton of social media projects. We see event support, training manual updates, lead generation, all sorts of projects like that would be great for just that one time get stuff done or whenever you need it throughout the year. Okay, so how do I actually get started? What are my next steps? So it's really easy to post a micro internship. Again, first you want to think about what your project will look like. If you have absolutely no idea, but you're interested in the concept, just connect with me and we can talk through some of your project ideas. Or again, you can send us an open job description that you have, and we're happy to create a project for you. Whatever you need, we want this to be very low lift for you. And so we're happy to work with you with whatever support that you need. Once a project is posted live on the platform, you'll start to see applicants come through. So we don't pre-match the student to you. The student still has to take the time to apply. And then from there, you can decide if you'd like to interview a student, a quick phone call, or you can just go ahead and select them in the platform. So all the hiring is done throughout the platform. And then from there, the work gets done. So I'm going to take just a quick pause here. I'm going to stop my share, see if any questions have come through at all. I'm just looking. Don't see anything as of yet. So I'm just going to quickly also show you how to post a project. And so I mentioned before our project library, and I'm happy to send anyone this link. Actually, I can put it in the chat. That would probably be a lot easier. And what you will do from here is You can go ahead and select different topics. Like if you're like, gosh, I really don't know what kind of project I want to post, but I really could use something in sales, for example. And so we have a couple ideas here, or you can just create something custom that we can work with you on. And so let's say we want to do a list crunching project. This is what the inside of our platform looks like. And so you can put the name of the project, when you expect the project to start and end. These projects are meant to be completed fairly quickly. So again, if you're doing a 20-hour, 15-hour project, a few weeks, a student is able to get that done for you. We also have a guide right here for posting a custom project that you can look through for some ideas as well. Here's where you're going to put a little bit more information about your organization, what the role involves, what the student will be doing in the project, and then, of course, what that final deliverable will be to you. So again, if we're doing, list crunching, maybe you're looking for the student to create a spreadsheet where they're putting together 25 clean, complete contacts for an area that you're looking to reach out to. So we can help you with that deliverable as well. You can include if the project is meant to be remote or on site. We do have a number of programs that we work with that provide some funding for some free micro internships. So happy to talk to you more about those as well. But in general, you will always see upfront exactly what you owe for every project. So in this case, the student is receiving $400. Again, Parker Dewey charges 10% just so that we have our costs covered as well. So your total cost for this project would be $444.44. Bit of a mouthful, but again, that's it. There's no additional fees, costs, subscription costs, or anything like that. And so you can play around with this. The student will only see what they earn for the project. They will never see what you're paying. Just want to make that clear. You're welcome to, enter any specific skills you're looking for, like social media tools, or just leave it blank, however you want to do it. If you're looking to spotlight this to a specific school, you're welcome to. We work with schools across the country, or you can just leave it blank, and students across the country will have ability to apply for that. You can indicate if you're only interested in students that are currently enrolled, if you're also open to recent grads. And then down here gives you a chance to include some short answer questions that students, again, will provide some answers to and help you separate which student would be the right fit for you. So this question here, why do you think we should select you for this opportunity? If a student just says, because this sounds good, that's probably not a great answer. But a student that's giving a thoughtful response, they've looked into your organization, they've done a little research as to why they would be interested, that's going to be the student that's probably going to be a better fit for this project and a better long-term hire for you. Okay, and then I realize I need to put this into the chat. Sorry, I forgot to do that. And we will wrap things up. I'm going to share my contact information. And then, of course, I will leave this open for any questions that any of you may have. So again, if you are a confirm fit and hire with confidence or a build talent pipeline kind of a client, I have my email address right here. I'm just at emily@parkerdewey.com, or you can take a picture of the QR code here. If you're just, hey, I just need to get a project posted. I'm not looking to hire anybody permanently. I just need some support. You can go right ahead and get started, and we have a link right there. But of course, I'm happy to help with any of your needs. So feel free to connect with me. Again, emily@parkerdewey.com for any questions or concerns, or if you just want a demo through the platform again, or just need help posting, happy to help. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave it open for any questions that may have come up. And other than that, we will wrap up. I might have even gotten you out of here 5 minutes early. So hopefully you can get back to the rest of your day. But if there's any questions, I will hang out. And again, I will just put emily@parkerdewey.com into the chat in case you want to connect. Yes, I can put that last slide back up. Okay. Seeing no additional questions, we will go ahead and wrap up the webinar. And thanks for your time today, and hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks again.